So I just played the guitar and I tried to run it through my sound card. Sound card overload. Wanted no part of my heavy groove. So I'm not going to tune this up. I got it. It's kind of close to tune. It's not. Don't have the intonation correct right now, but damn. Let's get this plugged in. This is fun. When you first get a guitar, and of course you want to play something heavy. Whoa. So let's get it on recording studio here. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. Welcome once again to Fulton Street Beats, where apparently now we like to do some guitar building. We're going to have a little bit of an unveiling today, and I hope you guys are excited to see this because I was excited to build this. So we're going to go over the entire process today of what took place and some mishaps and mistakes along the way. And hopefully you learn from my mistakes, and if you decide to do one of these, can get even a better result than I did. Now, let's start. First, let's get a drink because my mouth is awful dry today. I was up late last night and very early this morning wiring this guitar. And I quickly learned that the directions for wiring this guitar are totally wrong. Totally wrong. So I had to resort to finding the correct wiring diagram, which isn't exactly how it worked, but I did manage to get it working, and we'll go over that in a little bit too. So one day I was scrolling through eBay, and I said, you know what? Actually, let's back up. I ordered a brand new Epiphone Flying V from a company, and it arrived, and I really wasn't happy with it. I didn't like the way it played. I didn't like the color it came in, and they left a bad taste in my mouth, the company in general. Very poor customer service. So I decided to look on eBay. I'm scrolling across eBay, and I come across a $78 do-it-yourself Les Paul style guitar. So $78. I looked at it and I said, geez, I don't even know if I can do this. I mean, sure I can do it, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not a guitar builder. So I said, hell with it. $78, let's buy it. Well, it came and it looked decent. I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but it looked decent. And this particular kit comes with the holes for the bridge and the saddle not drilled. So I did my research, and you can order templates, by the way. You can order them to get them in the exact same spot. You can literally lay it over the top of your guitar, mark your holes, and drill them. But I decided to take things a little differently and find a Luther's schematic, if you will, and get the measurements off of a Gibson as close as I could. Because remember, this is a Les Paul style, so body's when you get down to it, to the nitty gritty, it can be off a little bit. But I took the measurements that I thought that I needed and did my holes, and there's videos about this, and I approach things a little bit different than even the Luthers do because, well, I like to experiment, and if I experiment and something works, I can pass that on to you, and if it fails, I can pass that on to you, and we know what works and what doesn't. I don't like to live in a box. I don't like people to put things in a box and things that can't be done, or make, this is my biggest pet peeve, is making things that are easy appear to be hard. And a lot of people do this. Appear to be hard because they don't want anybody else doing it or succeeding at it. And I want everybody to succeed. So let's get that straight. I want everybody to succeed. And if I can build this, you can build this. So I'm here to tell you that it's not that difficult if you have some patience, and patience is the key. And man, my patience was running out because I had a lot of blunders. I had a lot of mix-ups and mishaps because I was experimenting. Now, we all want things to sound a certain way, and we want a guitar to sound a certain way, play a certain way, have a vibe to it. I was all about that vibe. I needed that vibe. So I knew what I wanted kind of in my head, and I didn't exactly get there, but I did at the same time. So I stained this guitar, and I did it, and there's a video on how I did it, and it's a great way of doing it, by the way. I mean, it works really, really well. But there was a flaw in the guitar itself, and that'll lead to a subject later on why I did something. So the guitar itself had glue underneath the cap, underneath the veneer that bled through. And any of you who've ever worked with wood know that when wood glue bleeds through something and you stain it, you can't get rid of it. You can't get rid of it. So I tried to mask it. I tried every way I could to mask it. I just couldn't. It kept coming back. And I said, okay. The wife suggested that I use a gold sparkle on it. Maybe that gold sparkle would hide that blemish. And that's why, if you guys are wondering why I went with the gold sparkle at first, and which seemed like a great idea, right? And I had many options. I could have took it to my paint guy and he could have did it. But I kind of wanted to do it myself. So I bought some lacquer that turned out to be really horrible quality lacquer, and that's Rust-Oleum lacquer. It's no good. I don't suggest using it. If you're going to use a lacquer, use a real lacquer that is actually made for high-end furniture, things of that nature, not Rust-Oleum. Actually, I'm going to be honest with you. I've never seen a Rust-Oleum product that was good. So anyhow, I did this, and we used this gold glitter. Little did I know that this gold glitter that I was using as a glitter flake was holographic. It wasn't really gold. It kind of sparkled like Walt Disney's theme park. It was horrible. And then on top of that, the lacquer that went over it was horrible. Now, maybe there was a reaction with the glitter. Maybe that's why it turned. I never even thought of that till just now. Maybe there was some kind of reaction, because you know how we can get reactions with certain different types of chemicals, plastics, and such, what have you. So, anyhow, it did not turn out, and I said, oh, man, that sucks. Well, immediately, people here, people online, I'll just get rid of it, start over, start a new build. You can't fix that. You can't fix that, Cospicoli. I could do it. Anyhow, I decided to try to strip the lacquer off using heat. Didn't work. Melted it, like turned it to goo. And then that was my real hint that it wasn't really a good lacquer, because lacquer usually you can peel off when you heat it. Stuff just kind of disintegrated, melted. Terrible. So I decided to use some acetone, 100% acetone. I actually stole some from my wife. And it worked. And it worked wonderfully. And I stripped the whole thing down and didn't ruin the finish underneath. No, I did not ruin the binding. And yes, the binding is plastic, but I didn't cake it right to the binding either. So, and keep in mind that when I did this guitar, I had to scrape the binding twice. So I initially scraped it before, and then I knew I was going to scrape it again. So I really wasn't really worried, although the concern was there. I wasn't really worried because what did I have to lose? What was the alternative? Because you're not sanding that stuff off. You're just going to clog sandpaper for days and months. So I proceeded to strip it off. It literally took me a half an hour to strip the whole guitar. Video about that. Did it in the video. In real time. I think there might be a section of the video that's missing where I had to run to the store and get some more acetone because I didn't have enough. It didn't take a lot either, just to be clear. It didn't take a lot of acetone. I just didn't have enough. She didn't have enough in the bottle. I thought I had a bottle over here, but I don't. I was going to show you the size. Anyhow. So I strip it off, and I said, okay, what are we going to do now? Well, let's just go with what I know, and that's a poly. A wipe-on poly works amazing. If you got patience and time, and wipe-on poly works good. So about, I don't know, 15 coats of poly. And I wet sanded it when I was done with a 1500 grit, and then went to a 2500 grit and realized that the finish was a mere beautiful finish. But there was a problem with that because that's not the look I was going for. I wanted a Les Paul that looks like it had been played, had the 70s vibe to it. Looks like it almost has an aura to it where, you know, you look at it and you go, yeah, that thing's been around, man, but it looks cool and it sounds good. And I know a lot of you guys understand what I'm talking about. The thing is with the shiny brand new guitars are awesome, just like shiny brand new drums. Drums we keep nice though. But guitars get played, they get scratched. The moment you start strumming on them, you're getting scratches on your humbucker covers. You're getting scratches on your guitar, on your pick guard, on the back of the guitar where it's up against your body, everywhere. You start developing micro scratches ASAP, and it is nature of the beast, and that's just how it is. Of the guitar, they said, hey, look at me, man. Here's my bruises, and I'm proud of them. But the problem was this guitar was so pretty. It was so pretty. I'm going to come out with a video and show you all the process in the picture. I mean, this was a mirror. I mean, it was just beautiful. With exception of that one spot that I told you with the glue bled through. So I said to myself, self, you're there. Almost. Now, I don't want to relic a guitar, but I want to make it look like it's been played. Relicing's a bit much, and maybe you might even consider this a relic. I don't know. But I just wanted it to look played. So what I did is I went online and I started searching Les Pauls that were vintage, had some use, had been played, but weren't horrible. If that makes sense. And what I found was most of these guitars that I started looking up that were in this condition have all had some kind of weird repair in the lacquer or the finish. And they didn't wear like you would think they would wear in the spots that, you know, when people relic a guitar, you got this way. They would wear in odd little spots. And I said, I guess that makes sense. I mean, you're your guitars are getting, moved around here and there. You're grabbing here and there. You're doing this and that and that and this. You're not always playing them. You're just touching them here and there. And over years, who knows how they're going to wear? So I looked at a couple examples of about 30 examples of what I'm going to show you later. And I decided to distress it a little bit because I have that blemish. Let's roll with the blemish. So I started looking at these pictures of these Gibson Les Pauls, and I'd zoom in on them, and I was like, wow, that's not right. Some of this stuff look kind of horrible, like when you really looked at it, but yet they still look cool because they have that vibe. Like, hey, look at me, I've been around. I don't know what happened here, but it happened. Probably a story behind it. Now, the story behind this guitar is the story that I built it in my first guitar build. And it's going to make stories now. So I started looking at some of these and I said, screw it. Let's put some blemishes here and there. So I took that beautiful mirror finish and I went backwards with sandpaper and went back to an 800 grit and sanded some wear spots where they weren't quite through. Wasn't quite through, but it was getting there. It was getting thin. And then I went back and I polished that again with 2500 where it was about to go through and feathered it out in certain spots that I was using pictures as a guide online. And it's weird, but I like it. So you look at the guitar and you say, man, it looks like it's going to wear through, and that's wearing through, but it hasn't yet. And that's what I kind of went with. And I like it. And now it has a little bit where you look at it and you go, mm-hmm. And then, like I said, I'm looking at these guitars and they all have these lacquer repairs. Not good ones. Well, let's replicate it. Let's make it so it's not so good. Well, how do you do that? Well, in this case, I was using poly, so I put a little more poly in a spot where an edge might have been chipped off. And then I would wet sand it, but I didn't wet sand the edge out totally. I left a little line where it showed that had been kind of repaired there. And I know to a lot of you, you're going, what are you talking about? But this is the stuff that guitars go through in their life. And they have stories to tell. And like I said, this has no stories to tell. This was just a build. But when somebody looks at it, they'll go, that guitar's got a story. But wait, Mike, it's not a Gibson. It's a $78 build kit from eBay. Well, yeah. But we can still have fun and test yourself to see if you can pull off something like this. So we get all this done, and I started looking at the back, and I didn't gloss up the back. I left the back kind of just raw wood, and it has some urethane on it, but it's it looks a little wore on the edges, but it's all appearance, you know. I left the cream covers on the back, and what I decided to do was stain into the neck, but not stain the neck really. I just got one coat of poly on the neck, and I rubbed it in, sanded it in, so it's a nice, smooth, fast neck. And then it goes up to the headstock, which it gets darker and fades up. And another thing that I noticed, but I wasn't prepared to go there, is that on all these old Gibson Les Pauls, the tuners are crooked as hell. And I don't understand how Gibson made guitars with crooked tuners. Crooked tuners, crooked logos on the back, crooked serial numbers. Blew my mind. But they all had this aura to them that spoke to you. And I think that's why people like the old Gibsons so much, because they got stories behind them. So I got looking, and I've upgraded the tuning keys on this. I put gold, like Geiger locking tuners on it, and the straight as an arrow. I just couldn't have mine crooked because that's just sloppy. But it still didn't have the aura. I mean, it's getting there. So I ordered a pick guard for it. I got rid of this cream one. This is what was on it. Nothing wrong with it. I mean, these have been on a lot of older Les Pauls, but I took this one off. I ordered a new one, and it's a copper gold pearl. You'll see it. Pick guard. And I really like it. I dug it. Again, a little bit of character. Now, there are some things that I had to change for playability. I had to get rid of the Tuneomatic that it came with because, well, it was the ones that are prone to vibration to make you think you got fret buzz when you don't. So I got rid of that, and I got a nice gold roller bridge for it. And I still have to fine tune the intonation of it. I gotta fine tune it a little bit. I'm almost there. Mind you, I've been working on this thing for 24 hours straight. I'm working on very little sleep right now. So got that set up, and then I tear everything down again, okay? Because I have to do wiring. I'm saving kind of the weirdest for last, and it's going to make people mad, or it's going to make them go, damn, that's cool, dude. So far, I've got, damn, that's cool, dude. Everybody around here that lives near me that's seen this has said, damn, that's cool, dude, especially in person. That's cool. So, got a buddy of mine in South Carolina, sent him some pictures, seen some videos of it, and he's a guitar player, pretty good guitar player. He said, damn, dude, I want it. That's cool. This is a guy who's got various awesome guitars, including one very cool Angus Young Edition SG, like I used to have. So cool. So anyhow, this guitar is starting to take on a personality. So, but it's a personality that needs a kick in the ass because it's got a bad attitude. This guitar has one bad attitude. And I'm like, all through this build, I am just want to pull my hair out at things. It's crazy stuff. So I proceed to try to wire this guitar up. And this is what you get for direction. See, DIY. Assembly reference manual. Yeah, it's a reference, all right. There's about 8 different guitars in here. And I don't think the directions for any one of them really pertain to any one. So here's my wiring diagram right here. And I started coloring in my wires and I'm looking and I lay everything out. And I lay out my pots on cardboard like the standard, like you do. You lay them out in cardboard. You solder everything up and get everything going. But the problem is this schematic doesn't match anything. Like some of it came pre-wired, but it didn't match this schematic. So I'm scratching my head going, what the hell do I do? So I'm online. I'm trying to find my setup that I have online to get some sort of reference. There's zero, there's zip, there's nothing. So something's going on here. And I started looking. I was like, the wiring makes no sense. Why would you have that ground running there? That shouldn't be a ground. They did have their capacitors on it already, and they were in the right spot. So that's good. But I couldn't find anything. So I attempted to wire it up like their diagram, and guess what? Didn't work. Nothing worked. Dead horse. Nothing. Scratch my head. This is late last night. I'm trying to get this thing wired. I want to show it to you. I want it wired. I was going to video the wiring it up for you guys so I could show you how to do it. I couldn't do that. I started a video, but you know what? I was baffled. Question marks above my head. Stopped. I mean, it would have been a 6-hour video because it was just nothing made sense. Even the switch that's in it, the way it's set up is not set up like a normal switch. I had to wire it kind of backwards when I started looking at the switch going, oh my God, this is just like, it's a backwards switch. You have to know what a guitar switch looks like to understand what I'm saying. You got your little, like I call it the TP in the center that comes together where you would weld your, would solder your power point to, and you can't. It's backwards. So anyhow, I figured this out. I started looking at stuff going, this is wrong. And I found this one online because this is the closest that I could find because these are like the pots that I had. The capacitors are on there and they're right. And it's showing this bent back. So what I did is I took all of my pots, desoldered every single component on it, started from scratch, wired my guitar just like this. Okay. Just like this. And this is a Gibson humbucker setup. Okay. So I wired this. I believe this wiring's from like a 58. And yes, the way you wire a guitar has a lot to do with the sound. So I wire it up, and then I started looking at my switch, noticing that the switch is when I noticed was backwards. So this little point up here and this ground here in the center, that's what this is. This is a common ground right here in the center. These have to be switched on mine. This would have to go here, and this would have to go here. Or you're not going to work. It's just not going to work. So anyhow, I went to bed last night, dreamt about the whole thing all night long, got up, proceeded to desolder everything, and I had to get more wire because the wire that they give is wrong. Wrong. Length, everything. So I used my own wire, soldered it up, and with the luck of the Irish, I put it all together, plugged it in. I mean, I put it together and said, boop, it's either going to work at this point. It's going to work or we're scrapping it. It's going to work or I'm done. I'll buy a pre-wired system that's plug and play. Eventually, that's the case. So anyhow, I plugged it into my amplifier. I tuned it up first, plugged it into the amplifier, hit the strings, and went, damn. And you know what's awesome, guys? And I know this is a long story, but this was a long build, and I want to express how cool this was. It sounds good. Zero microphonic feedback in the pickups. Why? And if you guys watched my video before, because I waxed my pickups. I didn't wax pot them because I did not put them in a pot. I showed an alternative method to doing that works just as well. The proof is in the pudding. You can talk into these, crank up your talk into them. You will not hear your voice coming through that amp at all. They are not microphonic any longer. They're waxed pickups, and they work awesome. What did I use for wax? I used regular candle wax, guys. So just so you know, it can be done. And there's another trick that I did not show. You can melt wax and coat the inside of your pickup area in the guitar right into the wood. Coat the wood on the inside with hot wax. It's just another barrier to prevent any microphonic feedback. Any feedback at all. It works wonders. Try it. And this is what I'm here for, to experiment. Hey, this makes sense. Why don't I just do this? Makes sense, right? So that's where we're at. We got it done finally. I'm very excited. Now, we're going to unveil this right now, but this isn't going to be the official unveiling. This is just for you guys who decided to tune in because, well, my regular viewers deserve to see this before anybody else. So it's not polished up. It's not cleaned up. It's all fingerprints. And this one more story. We will get there. So here I am tuning the guitar up. And I said, well, use the strings that come with it because I want to give them a try. Maybe they're great. Maybe they're great. Maybe they're great strings. They're going to sound good. Maybe. So I'm getting it all together. I use my locking tuners. I'm tuning up the strings. Bing! Yeah, are you kidding me? All right, let's just finish the rest of the strings. Bing! 2 strings. So the strings that come with the kit, toss them in the garbage. They're not even good enough to use as wire to assassinate somebody. They're horrible. Horrible strings. The worst strings I've ever seen in my life. If you breathe on them, they're going to break. And that's just standard tuning. So, anyhow. And then one more thing we're going to talk about is the neck. The neck on this guitar was pretty much perfect right out of the box. It is a set neck. It was pretty much perfect right out of the box. It's totally straight. I have my action so low with a 0 fret buzz. And I have my Tuneomatic, my roller bridge, down all the way. That's right. All the way down. And man, it is awesome to have an action. I haven't had an action that low on a guitar or even capable of it in a long, long time. And I wish I could take credit for it, but I really can't. The neck was straight. The neck was made for the body, and it's just the way it was. I did polish my frets. I still have, I discovered today I have one little sharp fret I'm going to have to work on a little bit. There's no dead spots on the fretboard, nothing. I haven't polished the fretboard yet, things like that still have to be done because I'm going to restring it and put new strings on it because I had to replace a couple strings that I had laying around here, and they're just not matched strings, so it's not the best tone that you can get right now. So without any farther ado, let's take a peek at this guitar and we'll talk about it some more. Hold on. Now, I hope you guys can see this okay. And if not, I apologize. So there it is. And all its wonder. And its tiger stripe tobacco burst that has some golds that came out when I put the poly on it. It really is what made me go, hey, that needs a copper gold pick guard. The knobs that come with it were gold. Perfect. We changed the saddle to gold. Roller, Tuneomatic, gold. Kept the cream surrounds. Going to still keep the silver humbuckers. And these humbuckers sound really good. I was going to upgrade them. That was the plan originally. Nope, not going to. The pots in the guitar work good. They don't have a sudden shut off. They just fade out just like they're supposed to. And I think a lot of that's because of the wiring, the way it's wired. I don't believe that if people are trying to follow directions in some of these guitars, I suggest you find out what style guitar, how you like the sound, and figure out how they wired it and wire it that way. There's a lot of different ways to wire these things. The inlays are perfectly straight. They're awesome. Like I said, the neck is straight. It looks great. Now, do you see the wear? It wasn't worn. It's still shiny, but it's wore. So let's take a look, and I hope you guys will bear with me. Okay. Here she is. And it's the weight of an authentic Les Paul, which is really cool. So what I did is, you see on the edges here, I made it distressed on the edges where it's wore. Now I didn't, because when guitars wear, they don't all wear in one uniform pattern. They start wearing here and there. in the strum and play area. So that's what I did here. And this was just kind of the same place that I had that bleed through. But it looks great. I like the way it turned out. I love the way it looks. And I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but I wore not just in one spot, not just the edge here, but I want it to look like it's been around a few years. So it's awesome. So that's the front. The action is just incredibly low. I mean, it's low. I'm not going to play it right now. We'll do that another time. But it's low. And look at the bridge. It's down all the way. Saddle's not, because I have to have the saddle adjustment for the strings. There's not unnecessary tension on the angle, but it's just an amazing guitar. And here's the back. And we have spots that are put in on purpose. It has that, tell me it doesn't have that 70s vibe, right? And there's our neck. And you can see, I hope you guys are starting to see what's going on here, what I'm about to show you. And this is the one that's going to make people mad or make them laugh. See this back here? See this fade? These tuners are straight as an arrow. These are Geiger locking tuners. I use these tuners on everything because they're awesome. You see what this is right here? This beautiful logo underneath this awesome clear. Custom Shop Custom. Old school logo. Not the new one, the old one. Yes, the Gibson Custom Shop Custom logo. But the difference on mine is my logo's straight, where most of these weren't. Now, it doesn't have a Gibson-shaped headstock. Just a cool headstock, though. I like it. But look what I did, because it just looks cool. Yes, it's got a Gibson logo on it, and it's positioned properly. So that's really cool. These are a water slide type logo, and this has been sealed and then cleared over. And the logo also in the center here. And it was just a nice touch. It looked pretty classy on there, and that's why I did it. And there's more going on that's going to be going on with this guitar. We have this cool truss rod cover. It says Les Paul, and it has the Ace Frehley Ace card on it. The nut was a plastic nut. I did change it with a bone nut just because I had one. But the plastic nut worked fine. And it's just a really, really cool guitar. Anyhow, I love how this turned out. I like the non-perfection of it. Like I said, a lot of you don't like that. Totally different strokes for different folks. I'm going for a different thing. I could have kept it pretty. I got pictures of it before. And it was just didn't give me that vibe. And that's what I was looking for with it. It's my guitar. I want to make it vibe my way. A lot of you will say, hey, why didn't you? Or why didn't you? Well, why don't you? Because that's the point of this. Do it yourself. Get you one. Make it the way you want. Make it feel the way you want. But this thing sounds phenomenal. We're going to cover that in another episode coming up soon. Now, you guys were waiting for part 3. This is going to be considered part 3. I'm sorry I couldn't show you the wiring. it was just it just wouldn't help you. It wouldn't have helped you. It would have left you scratching your head more than answering the questions. I hope they're not all like this. But if they are like this, you're going to want to get this one. And this is from Freeland Pickups. And I got this right online. And they give all different types of variations. You're going to have to find the pots that you have, the setup that you have, and literally start from scratch. That's what I had to do anyhow, because the directions that came with this are just not useful. They're just not useful. As a matter of fact, they're so not useful, you don't even know. It's the schematic on this one. There's wires going everywhere that don't need to be. There's stuff attached to things that aren't supposed to be. And that's just too bad. But at least we found this, and it is out there. The information is out there. You just have to search. So, but the moral of this story, guys, is don't be afraid to build a guitar and do it yourself. If you guys are going to do one and you want some advice, or you get stuck, or you want to know something, feel free to reach out to me at any time. I'd be happy to help you. bakerpercussion@gmail.com. And I'll help you out, maybe try to walk you through. If you have anything that, if you want any pointers on the urethane, or you want any pointers on, finishing, or what I use to sand, or if you want it distressed, I can let you know. If you want it beautiful gloss, I can help you out. Wiring, I may be able to help you out depending on what wiring you got, but that's the hard part, guys. The wiring is the hardest part. Not that wiring is hard. Finding the correct schematics for what works for you and gives you the sound you want is what's hard. And remember, wax those pickups, because damn, it works good. Thanks for watching Fulton Street Beats, guys. I appreciate every one of you. Even though this was kind of a lengthy episode, I think the end result was worth it. And I appreciate all of you for following this build. Stay tuned in the next video. We're going to get some sounds out of it and give you some better pictures and maybe some up-close stuff. I got some cleaning to do on it. And we'll get her shined up and get you some good pictures so you guys can really see what it's all about. Don't forget to hit that like button, share, subscribe, tell your neighbors, kids, and your sisters, uncles, cousins, best friend. Tune in to Fulton Street Beats, where rock and roll makes the world go round.